What's up, family? I'm Six, and this is the Crime Chronicles. Today's reaction deals with police interaction, but I want to give it a different side of the police interaction, the police retribution. So dealing with police is serious, right? They are the people who uphold and enforce the laws of this great country we live in. There's a trend of people who audit the police, and which is all legal, which is all cool. I love the content, I love watching that interaction and holding police accountable, but all of that comes with consequences in some cases. So we all know, we all feel that police have this brotherhood, right? In other careers, it's called professional courtesy, right? So I'm not gonna, my coworker, even if I worked at McDonald's, Burger King, I'm gonna stand by my coworker, or I'm gonna stand by, his decisions, and if I want to kick a customer out or whatever, and I don't know who's in the wrong, my buddy's gonna be in the right type of thing. But the police, when they have this professional courtesy going, it's different. It hits different because it becomes this brotherhood of power. And when you're backing someone who is in the wrong, you're just as wrong as that person. And in most cases, it changes the course of people's lives. Like, I don't know many people who can stand the loss of time and effort and money that it takes to deal with the injustices that they face in police interaction that are unjustified, and the traffic stops and the violation of laws and all of that. That's where all of this. So I wanted to focus on that, because it is your right to record anything in plain sight, right? And that's the letter of the law. If you can see it, you can record it. And that's evident by all the recording and surveillance and everything, everywhere you go. In the malls, you step out the parking lot, you're on camera. You step out of the car, go to the grocery store, you're on camera from the moment you exit your vehicle. In your vehicle, when you're on public roads, you're in public, they can film you. By they, it's whoever, because it is a constitutionally protected act. The police, however, seem to have a problem with accountability, like the kind of accountability that comes from the public. I hear the term public servant a lot, and I feel like that is supposed to be the apt description for law enforcement as public servants. But obviously, we don't have the authority to just see a cop and, hey, drop and do 20 push-ups or whatever the case may be. But police are supposed to be transparent. In a perfect world, they would be upholding the set of laws. It would be black and white. So this officer would act like this officer, would enforce this officer's rules and what have you, just like this officer. I'm sorry, not his rules, but the law. Everything should be in unison. So coming back full circle to the police interaction and their videos and their transparency, because there's so much pride and ego and all these personal things that intercede in the mix of these officers upholding the law, there's this color in the law, right? It becomes gray. It's not black and white anymore. There are these issues. And because they don't like the accountability, the transparency of being recorded and in the commitments of their job, they don't want to be scrutinized by anyone that is not their brethren. There's oftentimes this condescending of the officer to people who are what do they call themselves? The auditors, right? There's this attitude like, I'm me and you're you, and stay in your place. Why? Because I told you to, because I'm a cop, which that in itself is illegal. Like, people just can't say, an officer just can't order you to do anything that is not a lawful order, right? In the commitments of them upholding the law and them giving you an order that falls along that, whatever it is that they're doing that is legal. Everything, they've got laws and bylaws, and so these auditors kind of jab at them or whatever, and they record stuff and everything. You know, more power to them. That's it's freedom of speech, freedom of press, all of that stuff. But oftentimes there's vindication. Oftentimes people in power don't like to be checked by people of lesser power that they feel. So here's an instance where a gentleman who's an auditor, and he's got about, almost 400,000 subscribers. So he's been doing it a while. He wants to talk to the police chief. These people trick him into setting an appointment. Yeah, come on in. We'll see you at 3:00. And when he comes in, they have a surprise for him.
2023, Foshin from This Is a Public Service had a scheduled appointment with Chief Umberger of the DeLand Police Department about getting a trespassing order rescinded.
I'm doing better than I deserve. How about yourself? I've got a meeting with the chief.
Oh, okay.
He was eventually greeted by Sergeant Salmon.
Hey, sir, how are you?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. Sergeant Salmon.
Yeah,
we dealt. Yeah, down at the office. So I understand you're here to meet with the chief.
Yep.
I've been asked that in order to come inside, you leave your cameras here, or on top of that drug box and video camera, or out in your vehicle or something like that. Just can't have you bringing any cameras inside of the secure facility.
Foshin elected to instead hold the meeting in the public lobby to be allowed to film, so Sergeant Salmon directed him to a private room to wait for the chief. But while waiting, he was greeted by Inspector Fariz Mohammed and a woman named Casey from the Social Security Administration.
This guy should be able to answer any questions you got.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
How you doing?
Good. Nice seeing you again.
Good to see you, Mr. Mohammed, correct?
Correct. Fariz Mohammed.
Yeah.
And this is Special
Hi, my
Agent.
name's Casey.
Hey,
I'm with the
Casey.
Social Security Administration.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, so today's real simple. I'm just here to issue you some
chief
United
isn't
States
there.
District Court violations. It's going to be for DeLand, Kissimmee, and Orlando SSAs. Okay. So the first one is going to, and it's going to be 2 citations times the 3 locations.
Okay.
Right? So the first one is going to be unauthorized taking of photos on premises without permit or agency permission. The second one is going to be failure to comply with directions of other authorized individual and signs of prohibitory or regulatory nature. Okay. All 6 of these citations are going to be mandatory court appearances. So you'll get it notified by mail, or you can communicate with the court for a court date.
Foshin was issued 6 citations and a trespass warning, and now he asks for his scheduled meeting with the chief.
I gave you that trespass warning, so you got everything you need from us, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the chief, this was just a ruse to get me here? The chief's not going to come speak with me?
I mean, I could call and see if you wanted to.
What do you mean wanted to? I set up an appointment to speak with him.
Right. Well,
So that's what this was. This was a ruse.
This was the business that you needed to handle, was getting a copy of the citation, or the trespass warning, right?
No, that wasn't why I was here.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I
And
didn't know.
and the chief knows that.
Okay.
So,
Well,
so is the chief coming down?
No.
The chief was never coming down, was he?
No.
All right. You guys are out of control. You don't
Sorry
care
you feel
about
that way.
It's not a feel, man. You guys you're out of control.
Okay.
I was complying with the law.
Right. I understand, and I understand your frustration.
You're not interested, though.
I'm not. I gotta go.
Yeah,
so
you're not interested.
I'm not.
Yeah, you seem like a good guy, and now
I
you're
try to be,
showing.
man.
Yeah, but now you're showing your true colors. You're showing us that the gang of the DeLand Police Department only cares about violating rights.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
It's not a feel, man. It's clear.
Okay.
It's clear. Violating rights.
Okay.
You guys don't care about the oath that you swore to the Constitution. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I don't know how you sleep at night. I don't know how you sleep at night, man. It's f***ing gross.
All right.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna beat all this shit.
Good.
Yeah, it is good.
Fast forward to September of 2024. Foshin is driving in DeLand, and after noticing a police cruiser appear as though they are following him, he pulls over at a public park. While there, he activates his dash cam, a 360 camera, and a wireless microphone. He then leaves the park, only to see the officers pass by as they enter the park.
Looking for
They
him.
quickly turn around and get behind Foshin, so he pulls to the side of the road and parks again to allow them to pass. Now pulled over, he waits for officers Alfonso and Amat to approach.
Hey, how's it going, man? Officer Alfonso with the DeLand Police Department.
What'd you pull me over for?
For a well-being check. That's all it is.
Oh,
I saw
well,
that once I got behind you, you keep turning off, and then...
a well-being check, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure you're okay. You keep pulling off the road and coming back on the road and stuff, so I'm trying to see if you're having a medical
Look at the other
emergency or
officer.
anything like
Look at
that.
the other officer.
You're pulling me over. You're stopping me from what I'm doing because you're concerned. Because
Yes.
did I commit a crime?
I said I'm just doing a well-being check on you.
Did I commit a traffic infraction?
No, I'm just doing a well-being check.
Is this what is your name?
Officer Alfonso with the DeLand Police Department.
Who's the other officer?
What is it?
Who's the other officer?
Officer Amen. He's right over there. Just doing a well-being check on you, man. You keep...
Yeah, I'm do you have a supervisor on duty?
I can get a supervisor.
I'd like a supervisor over here.
Give me a minute. All right, I have a supervisor coming in.
Is this something that you guys typically engage in?
What is it?
Is this something that you guys typically engage in?
We conduct well-being checks all the time whenever a car, if we see that a car is doing some type of maneuvers or anything like that.
What maneuver was it that thought that
You
you...
said that you kept pulling off and on onto the road and all.
How many times did I pull off the road?
It was a total of 2 times that you did that, so I was trying to check.
Is this the second time, the traffic stop?
No, the second time was when you pulled off into the Stetson field.
When was the first time?
The first time, it was by the potato patch, if you know where that is. That's right down there by the Dixie Lodge. I don't know if you're from the area.
Really?
but
Is that on video?
It is actually. My dash cam reports up to a minute before anything happens.
Anything happened? So when did you start recording?
Hey, it's a minute before the...
The lights turned on? So I was in that Stetson lot for more than a minute.
I was just doing a well-being check. The supervisor's coming. Okay, he's gonna...
Well, I mean, you're
He's starting
you're the
to
one
cross
that pulled
him
me
up.
over. You've got
Well,
me.
you requested a supervisor.
Because you've got me over here on the side of the road.
Yeah, for a well-being check. That's what it was. Yeah, I should
So how long do you need to conduct your well-being check?
This was it, but you called the supervisor, so I'm just bringing him.
Because you're illegally detaining me on the side of the road, sir.
I'm just doing a well-being check. I never say you're being detained or anything.
Sir, I'm not detained. There's lights on behind me. You
Those
pulled
lights
me
mean
over to
that
the side of the road.
you are
How
not
am I
free to
supposed to
go.
believe that I'm not being detained?
Likely afraid that they screwed up, Officer Alfonso claims that Foshin was not detained. A welfare check is a community caretaking function which allows officers to stop a vehicle without suspicion of criminal activity if they believe that the person inside the vehicle may be in need of assistance or in danger, but in order to lawfully conduct a welfare check on a motorist, the officer must be able to prove that reasonable concern for the motorist's safety existed at the time of the check. Observing a vehicle parking lawfully at multiple locations over several minutes would not be sufficient grounds to seize a person and their vehicle, but Alfonso still says it wasn't a detention. Florida Section 316.1935-2 states that any person who willfully flees or attempts to elude a law enforcement officer in an authorized law enforcement patrol vehicle with agency insignia and other jurisdictional markings prominently displayed on the vehicle with siren and lights activated commits a felony of the 3rd degree. Furthermore, in United States v. Mendenhall, the U.S. Supreme Court set forth the standard that a person is seized within the meaning of the 4th Amendment when, in view of all circumstances surrounding the incident, a reasonable person would have believed that he was not free to leave. This case established the reasonable person standard, which has since been applied in cases involving police lights and similar signals. Now, Mendenhall didn't itself specifically involve flashing lights behind a vehicle, but the principle from this case has been used in many later cases, such as United States v. Chappell, to argue that police lights signaling a vehicle to pull over or signaling behind a parked car constitutes a seizure.
Like I said, my supervisor's on his way.
A
I
seizure
didn't talk to my
person.
supervisor. You would have been free to go now because I see that you're doing perfectly fine, but you called for my supervisor. That's why.
I'm concerned that you're pulling people over for not doing a goddamn thing wrong.
Well, my supervisor.
I'm concerned that you're detaining people on the side of the road for no good goddamn reason.
Well, I'm just doing a well-being check on you. Like I said.
I'm not real concerned about your well-being checking me. You're pulling citizens over on the side of the road for their well-being. Is that what I'm to understand?
We can do that. We can do that.
You can do that, huh?
Might be having a medical issue or whatever.
What kind of medical issue would somebody have pulling over on the side of the road?
Like I said, you pulled over more than once. I was trying to make sure you were okay.
I don't like to be followed by police.
Okay. It's a public roadway. You're allowed to follow you if I wanted to.
Yep. And I guess you're allowed to illegally detain me too, huh?
I never said you were detained. I said...
Sir, I'm not detained. What do those lights mean?
You can leave right
Okay. When an officer pulls behind you, you rude motherfucker. You see what's going on here?
I see.
I'm in DeLand.
Florida.
I got pulled over for a well-being check. They want to check my well-being.
And as we can clearly see,
I got a supervisor
this
coming
is
in.
vindication.
8 minutes
This
into the
is
detention,
being
Sergeant
vindictive.
Salmon from earlier arrives and approaches the window.
How's it going, man?
How do you think it's going? Is it Sergeant still, Sergeant Salmon?
It is.
Why are your officers pulling people over for no crime?
Okay, so he was conducting a well-being check on you. You were
Come on, man.
some concerning
Behaviors,
driving.
like pulling to the side of the road safely in a safe manner,
Okay. He said you did so several
not violating any traffic. You have me
Did you hear how
detained
he
on the side of the
answers?
road, and you don't want to listen to me. Sergeant, where the f do you get off behaving like this?
I'm leaving.
Where do you get off detaining somebody on the side of the road when they ask for their goddamn supervisor? You walk away in fucking shame.
Not ashamed.
You guys are fucking
I
ridiculous.
won't entertain non.
Fuck you. Do your job better, officer. Piece of shit. Fuck off. Sorry about that, everybody.
Nah, don't worry about it. I get it.
Yeah, I just got pulled over. Did you hear what he said? It was a well-being check. He pulled me over for my own well-being. Unfucking believable. And then
It is unbelievable. But any reasonable person, if you're watching this and you know the backstory, it is absolute vindication. It is retribution for rubbing the wrong people the wrong way. Now, I'll leave his channel on here for you guys to take a look at the end result of this stuff. Well, actually, all of this stuff is still ongoing. He still has the 6 citations pending. I wanted to show you an example of retribution. So, you know, he's picking at and talking crap to the chief, and he's, you know, picking fights with people with authority to send out the goons. So where I'm from, that's gang stuff. That's gang. Send your boys. Okay, well, we all got a problem with such and such, and it's over doing things that are constitutionally protected. It's the reason why it's the foundation of what America was built on. It's the difference between the communists and Marxist, socialists, all of those governments. So we founded this country under a freedom of speech and protected things, because we are a government created and governed by the people. It's the reason why we vote people in office. And then when you get into office, you can only stay in office for so long because they want fresh opinions. They want a re-election for the people to see if we still want you in power. So the police operate on such a good old boy brotherhood of a system. They can respond to a situation like that, and then they can use the law to back them. Anybody, I'm no lawyer, I'm looking at the situation, and as a third, you know, I may be a little biased, but even if I wasn't, and you know, the unbiased view of this situation is you guys are being petty, and that happens on a grand scale. It happens on the scale where the cop pulls you over, and just as you saw earlier on, The other cop is just looking in the car. This is a well-being check. But his backup was looking in the car, looking for whatever it is that he could see in plain sight. Plain sight. In looking up and doing my research on police and justifiable lies, it says, and I quote, "Yes, law enforcement officers can lie during an investigation to obtain evidence, including interrogations. This is a legal and often used tactic, though there are limits. They can claim to have evidence they don't have, implicate someone else, or downplay legal rights to encourage a confession. However, they cannot mislead someone about their fundamental rights or fabricate evidence." So what stands out in the beginning of this is they can't mislead someone about their fundamental rights, because in this country, what trumps everything is the rights. We were colonized by people who left one country to the other and prioritized the people and their right to govern a country. This is what we're founded on. Fast forward, police are almost in that communist state where it's a militarized state. Like, they're almost at the point where they can kick down your door, peek in, and nope, nothing's going on in here. Close the door and be on their way. Fix that. There has to be like a governing boundary to where police have that supervision. And then when they're supervised within the letter of the law, they shouldn't have to worry about retribution. If these, and mind you, these are court dates for this gentleman in these different counties. What if he can ill afford to travel county to county? And this is what they're banking on, the inconvenience of it all. Because they know, like I know, they're citations, right? So the citations are going to be thrown out eventually. Usually citations are. Or it's some type of petty fine that if you go to court, they'll reduce the amount of the fine to kind of, they try to be a fair system. And if I'm all the way in the wrong, let's say I did throw out that gallon of spoiled milk in the middle of downtown and got a citation for for littering, and I got $1,000 fine, and I go to court, and the judge says, you know what, if you can pay it today, $175 or what have you. So there are ways of mitigating stuff, and they're within the laws and the bounds of the law. But what I do know is once that judge looks and he sees what the lick is, it's going to get thrown out. Or the gentleman gets a lawyer, because once the lawyer, any lawyer, sees this type of activity, sees the evidence that I saw, they can't wait to get a hold of that and get that thrown out, and then turn around and get a civil lawsuit, and he gets some type of minimum of $35,000 for this police defamation of character stuff, and he gets his cut of whatever percent. He'll get a third of the lawsuit. I mean, it's a game, and it's a game that involves people's lives. This changes people's lives. Like these type of interactions, they have that power. I can write you a ticket, I can lock you up, have you bond out. I know it'll get thrown away eventually, but don't mess with me because I'm bigger, better, I'm more authority, I'm the letter of the law. This is why you see cops kind of walk a little different with their chest poking out. You can't fight. What all that be about? And not to speak like that because I'm not violent in that nature and all of that, but I'm a man. And when a man steps to me on that alpha, I got a little alpha in me too. So in looking at the U.S. Constitution and just doing my little research, I wanted to get kind of language on our freedom of oppression. And while there's nothing specifically stated in the Constitution about our freedom from oppression, these key points point in that direction. Our free speech, where you can speak your mind. Our freedom of religion, you can believe whatever it is that you want to believe. Our right to protest. You can stand up against unfair treatment, and that is constitutionally protected. The right to due process. Fair treatment under the law. Equal protection. Anyone and everyone is treated the same by the law. So it's the wording of our Constitution. That's the wording of our Constitution. And police, as a general whole, kind of act like that. And I know it's unfair to generalize, but it's the same game they play with the other side. Because they generalize drug dealers, gang members, street racers, and young guys that are on motorcycles or in 400 horsepower cars. They generalize. It's kind of how they do their job. But when you put that eye back on them, when you put that mirror, they're above that mirror. And I don't think that's right. I think there should be more accountability, transparency. But what do you guys think? I would love to hear your comments in the comment section. Thank you guys for tuning in this long on this reaction video. Remember to like and subscribe. Share it, send it, share it with the family. Enjoy a meal over the Crime Chronicles. I think that's what I'm going to do tonight. See y'all later. I'm hungry.